it's the big stuff. I mean, the small peeves are all very well, but I would rather have some irritating subscriptions than the huge things just being ignored. When you've got reform sitting there, we will deport foreign criminals. That's a big thing. We will make you not have to pay an extra £2.50 a month for some stupid subscription. That's a small peeve.
I'm Ed Vaizey, and we're going to be unpacking the politics of the day, from Andy Burnham going on tour to why prison overcrowding is one of the biggest challenges facing the government, and also why a US senator has gone viral for showing off his old Hoover. It was actually an old Hoover. With me, a couple of old Hoovers. I didn't write this. Don't hold me to task on this. A couple of old Hoovers. The Times writer Patrick Kidd, welcome to the show.
Hello, Ed.
And the columnist Libby Purves, welcome to the show, Libby.
Hello, Patrick and I, we are the old Hoovers of your show.
You are the old Hoovers, but we're going to suck up a lot of topics in the next 40 minutes or so. Let's start with the Burnham tour. Andy Burnham is going to spend the rest of August touring around Britain and listening to people's grievances. How lucky we are. To some, it shows him wanting to meet people where they are rather than ruling from London. To others, it's taking a lot of time away from quite significant policy areas he should be concentrating on instead. Libby, I'm going to come to you first because I suspect you may have similar views to mine about the Burnham tour.
Well, I've been addictively, in this house, we've been addictively watching the thick of it from years ago, and it reminds me horribly of Nicola Murray going on the We're Here to Hear tour on a train to Bradford. Inevitably, it all tanks. I do think it is always a problem, just going around asking people to whinge and looking concerned about it. And it links absolutely, I know we're going to come to this, but it links absolutely to the early release business. It's one of those easy to say things. Gosh, yes, poor Andrew Harper, that was disgraceful. That was the most horrible, horrible thing. And we'll do something about it. And then discover he can't do anything about it because he would simply have to keep in all the 950 other manslaughterers. So it's the anxiety to do the popular thing. He's got to stop this. I wish him well. I'm a citizen. I wish our Prime Minister to do well and things to do well for us. But I do not think this is helpful. I think he's doing too much people-pleasing, and it has to stop and some solid stuff be done fast.
Yes, Burnham's trip will no doubt give him plenty of opportunities to film videos for TikTok and indeed Instagram. Here's the latest one posted by an influencer called Rob Colfer in Sheffield, with Burnham explaining how to travel there from Manchester.
You can go on the M62 and then down the M1, but that's quite a long way round.
You sound like my dad just saying names of roads. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to use the sat-nav.
I am like your dad, you know what I mean? That's what my family always say.
They've always been saying you're like Rob's dad.
Don't get me started on the railways as well.
I can't take much more of this, Patrick Kidd.
It's a bit Alan Partridge, isn't it?
It is.
It's, look, there's not anything he can do. He's become Prime Minister during recess. He's not recalled Parliament to actually do any legislating or to debate things. So all he can do is either go on a long holiday, and he's only just had 1 week, or he can try and announce ways to make people better. I'm actually in favour of him bringing in small things that deal with our peeves. So the thing he's announcing today about making it easier to cancel your subscriptions for things you've signed up to and then forgot that you joined. That's good. Labour had actually announced this in April. So it's rather odd that he's
bringing it forward.
But by a couple of months. He's bringing it was going to be next spring. He's now saying January, so it's slightly pathetic. But, I would love him to bring forward things like making it illegal for restaurants to ask me if I've got an allergy every time I want to order food. I've just been in North Yorkshire and no one asked me if I had allergies, and somehow I was able to eat and not die. But I would like to get rid of that. I'd love to get rid of those things when you go onto websites saying your cookie preferences.
Yeah, I brought that in.
There was a rubbish thing, Ed. I mean, no wonder you didn't become Prime Minister.
EU directive.
Yeah, but we're not in the EU now. You can get rid of it. So if he deals with peeves, but it is all a bit like we're heading towards the Cones hotline, isn't it?
I like the slogan, though, dealing with your peeves.
Yeah. I'm Burnham. I'm dealing with the things that irritate you.
I mean, Patrick's opened up a whole new thing of which policies you do want Andy Burnham to announce.
But it's the big stuff. I mean, the small peeves are all very well, but I would rather have some irritating subscriptions than the huge things just being ignored. When you've got reform sitting there, we will deport foreign criminals. That's a big thing. We will make you not have to pay an extra £2.50 a month for some stupid subscription. That's a small peeve.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big issue here about how politicians sort of conduct themselves. I mean, for some reason, it kind of reminds me a bit of John Major standing on a soapbox during the general election. That was a sort of game changer for the '92 election, which John Major won perhaps unexpectedly, because it was sort of real and authentic. But at the same time, Patrick, it sort of drives me mad that, you know, the whole Andy Burnham theme seems to be, you know, I'm listening and I'm a man of the people. And I actually want a politician, as Libby says, who actually leads and says, these are the very big issues which I am now going to put my heart and soul into solving. And those are things like the small boats or the price of energy and so on and so forth, which are really big and fundamental issues about the future of this country. And we get a drip of little announcements. But the really irritating thing, which I think that clip from the TikTok video showed, is this kind of matiness. You know, the video with John Healey talking about when they last had pork scratchings. I mean, it's sort of trivial and in many ways undignified.
It's going to grate very quickly, I think, with people when they suddenly look at their pay packet and they find they can't afford to do things, and the Prime Minister is talking about piddling on the fringes. When you mentioned John Major, that was campaigning during an election. Getting out and about is what you do. But
exactly.
Similarly, Jeremy Corbyn, when he was leader of the opposition, he had this gimmick that at PMQs he would read out letters. It became a bit like a Jimmy Young phone-in, didn't he? Yeah. Ed from West London is ringing saying, why can't you do something about this? That's fine in opposition. I think in government, though, while it's really important to know what people care about, I think becoming a constant focus group isn't the way to govern the country.
Yes, I agree. I mean, absolutely. And I think, you know, Libby, as I expected, you sort of agree with me on that. I mean, you'd give him short shrift if he turned up at your local village hall to listen to the people, wouldn't you?
No, I mean, the people could speak. The people must be able to speak. It's just this thing of, you know, what you want from a new Prime Minister is to say, thank you for your confidence in me. Thank you. I am now going to get down to the really big things. I'm going to be studying. I'm going to be talking with my ministers. I'm going to be talking with important public bodies. You know, I'm going to be researching. I'm trying to find out exactly how it is we can do this, fast. It comes down even to stuff like drought. You know, he could be sort of thinking right now about reservoirs and planning concerning the fact that we have far too few reservoirs for our actual needs and that we may have more of these droughts. You want somebody to say, thank you for your confidence. I'm working at it.
Yes, Ken
That's
says...
not what we're getting at all. We're getting a sense, thank you for your confidence. Now I'll show you how lovely I am again.
I know. It's that need to be liked that kind of resonates, isn't it? Ken, my favourite lawnmower rider, says it's like government by the low-stakes debate. God help us. Although Anne says people were worried that Andy Burnham would be too focused on Manchester, now he's exploring other parts of the country. People are still not happy. I like the fact that he is touring. Well done. Get away from Westminster. So it's not going down badly with everyone. Coming up, what are reforms planned to ease overcrowding in prisons? And Libby will go mad over the spread of 20 miles per hour speed limits. But first, let's get the news with Andy Hayes. Over the weekend, Andy Burnham was reportedly still looking at ways to block PC Andrew Harper's killers from the early release scheme, but he's now been told that doing so would trigger hundreds of other convicts to launch legal challenges against the government. The story's been rumbling for well over a week. Is it a political mess of Burnham's own making by promising to look into PC Andrew Harper's killers specifically, despite the difficulties in doing it? Meanwhile, Reform UK has given a press conference this morning announcing its plans to ease prison overcrowding. It will scrap early release for serious offenders and would send foreign prisoners home to serve their sentences. Here's Reform's leader, Nigel Farage.
This is really quite straightforward. We send people back to their country of origin, and if they refuse, we then send foreign national offenders off to third parties. Kosovo is perhaps one good example currently being used by Sweden, and we are organising a trip to El Salvador, and by the way, not all of the prisons, the cages that you've seen on television, and Lee Addison and Vanessa Frake, the former prison governor, they will both be visiting El Salvador soon.
There are so many questions that come from this debate about early release. One is, is Rwanda now back on the table, effectively, Rwanda being a metaphor, but sending foreign prisoners abroad? I'd wonder how many Brits are in foreign jails and whether we've got a sort of balance. There are 10,000 Brits imprisoned abroad who aren't in our British prisons. And also, these prisoners with indeterminate sentences. There's a big article in today's Times about somebody who stole a mobile phone and is now resigned to spending the rest of his life in prison, and when they are released on licence they get called back for the most trivial things. I mean, the whole thing is a mess, Libby. I don't know whether it's a mess of Andy Burnham's own making or the fact that successive governments just won't deal with this issue properly.
I think the business of the early release, cancelling the early release of the killers of that poor unfortunate policeman, I can't even think about what happened to him. It's so terrible. That is Burnham's mess, because he didn't spot that actually it would mean that it was a manslaughter conviction, so that all the other manslaughter convictions would then be able to appeal. That's a mess of his own making. The rest is a mess of very long-term making. I'm always banging on about prisons a lot. Indeterminate sentences, again, it's a good piece in the Times today. It is a disgrace that isn't sorted out, and that people like this lad have not been treated right at all. As to the reform thing, it's all very well saying, oh yeah, we'll do it if you're not the government, and actually not likely to be within the next few years. But I was looking at the research on what people feel about immigration today, and it's pretty obvious. People on the whole seem to, whatever their politics, they seem to feel they would prefer people migrating here to have some kind of skill, and they would prefer them not to be convicted criminals. It's not very much to ask, really, but neither of those things really have been dealt with at all well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously attitudes to immigration are hardening, Patrick, and, people are fed up with the small boats coming over. 230 people on a small boat is being reported this morning in the Times. You'll see that on the app. And people do want something done about it. It's interesting, the immigration poll, because it basically breaks down into which countries you dislike. So Green voters are very liberal on immigration, except for Israelis, for example.
Yes, Israelis who would tend to come across and pay lots of tax and be good contributors to society. Yeah. It was also noticeable that the polling on who wants to send people from Poland back has dropped dramatically since Brexit. Yeah. We miss our cleaners. What this YouGov poll shows, it's compared with 10 years ago, is that the number who say there's good and bad to migration has fallen by 10%, and the number who said it's entirely bad has gone up by 10%. So a lot of people are more fixed in their views on this. But, I think one of the things, as you say, is if people come across and break the law, that's very hard to defend the benefits.
Yeah.
But just on the prison thing, by the way, we are at a breaking point. There are 3,000 places left in the prison system, and if they don't release some people by November, it's going to completely break. And the problem is they've not been building enough capacity, but also they've been increasing sentences.
And that's right. And that
over
was
the last 20 years.
That was a Tory initiative, which I think Michael Howard, the former Home Secretary, was quoted over the weekend being unapologetic about it. He was the one who said that prison works. I think what drives me mad is that none of this is rocket science. We know what needs to be done with prisons. We should close down the old Victorian prisons, build more prisons, get on with it. Labour keeps saying we've got the biggest prison building programme since the Victorians, but actually they haven't built any prison places. They've got plans to build more, but they're not actually doing it, and that's fundamentally what is driving people round the bend, is that the government just won't do its job.
What about these boarding schools that are having to close because of Labour's education policy?
Well, exactly.
Just put some guards in front of them. There was a suggestion I saw, by the way, online that Chequers or Chevening or Dorneywood, which all have excellent security to stop people getting in, could just be turned into prisons and use the same security to stop people getting out.
Well, that's right. Chevening has 115 rooms. You get quite a lot of people in there, couldn't you?
Yeah, there you
go.
Just think outside the box, Andy.
A sort of open prison. Let's talk about other problems. This is not Andy Burnham's making, but it's down to him to deal with it. It's an act of God, which is called a drought. It's expected to be declared across more parts of England later, following a meeting of the National Drought Group. England and Wales have been without significant rainfall for nearly 2 months as the country gets ready for the 5th heatwave of the summer. Temperatures could reach 37 degrees or more. Libby, you've been talking about a big peeve, which is the lack of reservoir, and you live in one of the driest parts of the country in Suffolk. I mean, what's it like just on the ground, as it were?
Well, brown, basically, hosepipe bans and great fear of wildfires. We live on the edge of a lot of bracken and dry grass, and we've just had the massive wildfire over at the precious Dunwich Heath, which has been tragic and disastrous and terrible, brilliantly dealt with by the fire service, I have to say, night after night after night. But no, it is serious, absolutely, and I am very much there for the more reservoirs. More reservoirs thing. But of course, I remember 1976, 50 years ago, when what they did was appoint a minister for drought, little Dennis Howell, and he invited people to his home to see how he and Brenda shared a bath to save water. Hardly anyone had showers in those days. And a week later, I think it was about 10 days later, there was a deluge, and he became minister for floods. So perhaps that's what we need. Find a nice small sort of affable Birmingham MP with a wife called Brenda, appoint a minister, and there will be.
I think that's right. I think the minute we declare a drought, the heavens will open. But Patrick, you've been on holiday in the Yorkshire Dales, which was chilly and rainy.
It was wonderful. The temperature began with a 1 rather than a 3. In fact, it seemed as I drove back down south that for every 20 miles that you went from Grossington, the temperature went up another degree. And I loved the fact I could sit outside in my shirt sleeves, shivering a little, with a pint of black sheep, reading a James Herriot. It was ideal. Unlike this awful
We've got
heat.
a black cloud here this morning. a grey cloud arrived, and we're incredibly excited about it.
Yes, a bit of rain would be lovely.
Yorkshire. He's gambolling around.
As a result of all this, the church in Blackheath, where I am the church warden, has been on the front pages because it's on the heath and it's just surrounded by what looks like a desert, like the Serengeti, as if we'll see lions suddenly prowling around outside All Saints Blackheath any second.
Yes, it's like Ravenscourt Park.
Yeah, it's
where I walk the dog in the morning who thinks she's a lioness. And so she's absolutely happy. She now thinks she's on the plains of the Serengeti. But, I mean, we're all old enough, I hate to admit this, to remember the 1976 summer, which has sort of gone down in legend. It's sort of lodged in our subconscious.
I was born in the summer of 76, so I'm not quite that old.
We're all old enough or look old enough.
I was just going to say that my mother, when my mother was 8 months pregnant with me during the heat wave of 76, she took her driving test. Sweltering and being 8 months pregnant, about to burst. And she said the driving instructor was so terrified she would give birth to me in his car that he gave her the entire length of the street to do her emergency brake.
And did she pass the driving test?
Yes.
That's so true. I did my driving test heavily pregnant with my second child, and you could tell the absolute terror on the face of the examiner. I was that pregnant, and it was brilliant. Got through at last, third time.
My father drove my pregnant mother down a cobbled street for 20 minutes to
shake you loose,
to induce the birth of my brother, because if he was born before April the 1st, he would get a year's allowance. He was an academic. He would get a year's child allowance extra, and it worked. He was born on March the 31st.
Well, I know somebody who managed to bring on labour by taking his wife in a sidecar of an old motorbike. That worked very well.
Any tips or thoughts people have about whether or how to induce birth early? But I mean, Libby, you and I are old enough to remember the 76 drought. Standpipes, do we see those coming soon, where you'll be taking a big, plastic container down to your local standpipe in the village and filling it with water? I mean, in some ways we should, we gripe about modern Britain a lot, but the fact that we haven't got to that position is a good thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, but I was actually going on somewhere else the other day about the fact that in 76 I was on local radio, and there was this tremendous public spirit about it all. There really was. I mean, people were phoning in with hints and tips to save water and how to help each other save water and how to get the soapiness out of the bathwater before you put it in the garden flowers and so on. And there was not a sense of great resentment. It was an act of God. I think now, because of privatisation and because of the enormous sort of really unpleasant high salaries and high dividends and foreign ownership of water companies, I think people feel very, very differently. It's a good marker for how differently we have all felt since everything got sold off to private money.
Yes. Other tips are coming in. In 76, Terry Wogan had everyone doing rain dances, and that worked. And somebody pointed out that Thames Water has desalination plants. And maybe, that's the point, that we have to adapt. We have to adapt, don't we, Patrick? I mean, that's the kind of climate change has moved from climate change denial to, well, it's here, we might as well adapt. Maybe we will see kind of desalination plants and those kind of solutions.
Yes, we have to adapt. We also have to, when the times are good, build the extra capacity. And so the reservoirs haven't been topped up, the prisons haven't been expanded. If we ever get good times again, let's hope we actually do, as I say, fix the roof when the sun's shining.
Kieran has suggested we appoint a Minister of Real Tennis. I can't think why.
Quite right.
There you go. Libby, you've been
because
writing...
of the paddle people. It's these terrible paddle people. They're taking over the world.
Yes.
They must be stopped.
That's a good point. Are you, as a real tennis aficionado, Patrick, a natural gift to paddle?
I've never tried paddle, but I've seen paddle has increased from 70 courts in 2019 in this country to 1,500 now. Oh. I just love to see that sort of growth for real tennis, but they cost a bit more to build.
Libby, you've been writing about the literal creep of 20 miles an hour speed limits across British cities and the resulting boom in the number of people attending speed awareness courses. Surely you can't be against a sensible measure to reduce road traffic accidents.
No, but I'm not going to spend much time on this because there's so many people ranting away under the line on every possible side. I'm not against speed limits. I'm not an idiot. I actually do speed watch. I stand at the end of our road because our village is a one road in. It really needs the 20 mile an hour limit. But the 20 mile an hour thing is spreading across the country. It's fascinating how much it is spreading across the country and how many people are finding it a problem. I'm no kind of extremist, but I mean, there is something... There's a smack about it sometimes of because we can about southern authoritarian restrictions. And I don't think that all road safety restrictions across the country, speed restrictions, are properly thought through. They certainly aren't on rural roads around here. We have a lot of completely loony ones, which are either sort of giving you suddenly accelerate to 50 miles an hour, even though the road is actually much more dangerous than it was half a mile ago, all that stuff. So I just think it's a matter of wish people would put slightly better thinking into it.
I agree. I got done going 24 miles an hour on the Cromwell Road. For those who aren't softy southerners, that's a 3-lane highway going through the middle of London.
Did you do the course? Have you done the course?
I've done the course so many times, Libby, I could probably do it in my sleep. I mean, I pray to get the course. Sometimes I get the points, sometimes I get the course, but I'm a past master. The worst thing about the course is every authoritarian's nightmare, because they make you look at the camera and they check you're there and they call you by your first name.
Well, that's all.
I think you're showing a resistance to being educated, which really worries me. I've done the course 3 times, and every time I found it really interesting.
I am an extremist. I've done the course once. I was caught doing 34 in the 30 zone. It's on a mile-long straight piece of road in Blackheath that I do twice a day. I know where the camera is, but just on this occasion, I happened to be looking at the road rather than the speedo, and bang to rights. But, I could do 38 on all the other bits of it when the speed camera isn't there, when it wouldn't make... In fact, the camera showed there was no other traffic. But I think the proliferation of 20 mile an hour speed limits is appalling. Yes, you shouldn't have them. You should have them by schools and dangerous areas. But on the South Circular... and people always say, well, you want to kill more children. I don't. Speed doesn't kill people. Hitting people kills people. And if you're a better driver... What I would like...
Controversial, Patrick.
Do you know the first person...
Guns don't kill people.
Yeah, exactly. The first person who was killed... Here's a quiz question for you. What speed was the first person killed on the roads hit at, and what was the speed limit at the time?
15 miles an hour, and the speed limit was 10.
Nope. They were hit by a car doing 4 miles an hour and the speed limit was 14. So they were doing 10 miles an hour below the speed limit. Now, the corollary is... Sorry, I won't bang on this too much.
No, you're going.
If 23 miles an hour is dangerous, then drop the speed limit to 15. And if that's too dangerous, drop it to 10. I mean, why do we allow people to get behind a wheel at all? I would like to just ban bad drivers, and one way I'd get around it is putting in more road narrowings. When they put these very hard... Yeah. Because the number of people I've seen go very slowly through those because they can't actually control their car. That brings your speed down. I can then still do it at 40 and it's fine. I
mean, I object, rather like you, Patrick, I object to the infantilization that speed limits impose on you. Most drivers are sensible and judge the correct speed. And also, I think people, I wouldn't mind it if they sent me a letter saying you were caught doing X, 10 miles over the speed limit, don't do it again, it's dangerous, and here are 10 reasons why it's dangerous. What I can't bear are the 3 points and the fine, which means that you could lose your licence for some very minor speed infractions, Libby. There seems to be no proportion to this.
Absolutely. Well, yes. I mean, that's happened us to Linda LaPlante has been doing the sort of 22
Oh,
miles an
yes.
hour, 23 miles an hour, and so on. We know about that, but yeah. I mean, I actually that is what happens with Community Speed Watch. All you get is a letter if we catch you on Community Speed Watch, so that does happen. But I don't know. I think the point system, it's improved me as a driver. The whole thing, it's improved my caution. I think I don't entirely go along with you and Patrick Kidd, who are clearly terrible, dangerous speedsters. I'm never going near you.
I'm a very safe speedster.
We are rock and rollers.
I did learn from my speed awareness course that actually I can go faster, because I hadn't realised that on certain roads the limit's 60 and I thought it was 50 when they asked us. So
Johnny texts in to say, I have cracked those speed courses. I strap my mobile phone to my computer using sellotape and play Scrabble on my mainframe computer screen for the entire 2 hours while ostensibly looking at the mobile phone camera. So there's a tip for you. Now, Libby, I'd love to talk to you about this story because you have been to the Hull Maritime Museum. It's had a multi-million-pound revamp, and I think it's fair to say you give it a glowing review.
It got a terrific City of Culture grant, sort of 80,000, and 20 went to the museum. The museum is fabulous. There's this enormous whale skeleton, and it's one of the few whale skeletons which actually has the vestigial legs from when whales walked on land prehistorically. There's a huge polar bear. And then outside the museum, you go around the town. They've sort of themed everything beautifully with little, very tasteful, elegant little bits of street furniture, which reminds you this is a maritime city and a maritime route. And this very week, in a few days' time, the Arctic Corsair trawler will be brought into dry dock. A very intricate manoeuvre, a lot of difficult engineering, high tides, special, avoid the mud banks. It's going to happen sometime this week. I spent some time at the end of the day with the chap who was engineering it all in. Absolutely fascinating. And that is a trawler from the Cod War. It rammed an Icelandic gunboat, and everybody in Hull is going to come and see it and feel proud. Altogether, I had a really good day out. Thank you, Times, for sending me.
I loved reading your review, Libby. I loved the bit when you talked about you took control of a virtual reality trawler going through an ice field. And
Yes.
you rammed into an iceberg because you wanted to know what it felt like.
You hear the crunch. It was a great crunch.
Better
I
that
wanted
you
to
do
see-
that
I was testing the audio design. It was very important journalistic thing to do.
But it's a reminder, Libby, that this essentially Victorian creation, the museum, still has some life in it.
Absolutely, yes. And I mean, what I love about this one is that there is enough real and important stuff in it which makes you stop and think this is real and important, and there's enough education in it. And at the same time, they've got one or two of these sort of interactive things like the trawler wheel and so on. It's a very good balance. He's obviously a very good curator, and it means it's great. I mean, I was a trustee of the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich for 10 years, and I loved that, and watching it change and watching it develop, and how there's different sort of attitudes to curatorship. There's always going to be one curator who wants a significant object in the middle of a big white architectural space and nothing else. And then there'll be another lot who say, no, we've got 800 ship's lamps, so let's bang them all up on the wall and call it active storage. So I love the way museums have to think, and they are still terrific. And I say, Hull, I mean, absolutely go there. It's great. Spend a day.
It sounded pleasingly unpreachy as well, because you talk about wonderful words, scrimshaw.
No woke labels.
But scrimshaw, the art of sort of carving onto whale bones.
Oh, yeah.
Which
People did it. People did it. So why be woke about it?
But, now you can't have any ivory because even if it's 200 years old, people will complain that an elephant was killed.
Don't diss Prince William. Talking about something that's not woke, it's a Hoover. He's 92 years old, this US senator. He's the longest-serving Republican senator in history, and he's got his mother-in-law's beige 1970s Hoover, which finally broke down after decades of use, and he published an obituary, and people have gone, it's gone absolutely viral. Patrick, you strike me as someone...
Am I going to be stereotyped? Yeah. Who would have a 90-year-old Hoover?
You must have some objects that are ancient that you still use.
This is the most important Hoover in American politics since J. Edgar. I don't think I have a 37-year-old Hoover, but I have, this will not surprise you, but my desk at home is a Victorian church pew, or rather what I sit on.
Oh, yes.
Sitting at a kitchen table.
Good point. Furniture, of course.
Yeah.
We're all the kind of people who buy our own furniture, but furniture is a classic example of something that lasts forever. We had a Volkswagen Passat that we drove into the ground, got to about 160,000 miles an hour. I'm a great one for keeping cars on the road, Libby. What do you keep going?
Well, we had a Kenwood mixer for nearly half a century, and that's now gone to Walberswick Village Fate. Not because it's no good, but because my husband's just had one which has got some kind of rather better bread dough and sausage making system on it from Norway. But no, the Kenwood mixer has been a very great thing, and I love keeping old stuff. And the key sentence in all of this is they don't make them like that anymore. Domestic engineering has gone downhill.
Does your Kenwood mixer have a name, Libby? Because this Hoover was called Brenda, I think, or Bertha. It was named after a former press officer.
I think she still is press officer.
Yeah, I've always given my cars names. So I've had Felicity and Jenny Darling after Jennifer Aldridge in The Archers, and my current car is called Graham Hick. Obviously, it's largely because the number plate sort of spells Graham Hick if you leave some of the vowels out.
Have you told Graham Hick this?
Well, it's very good on flat roads, but less good when it gets bumpy.
That is the point, though. I mean, I think it's quite impressive. I think you could give this senator a run for his money. But, Libby, did you feel sad? I mean, did you sort of have words with your husband saying, you know, it's one thing to bring in an all-singing, all-dancing, dough-making mixer, but frankly, this Kenwood mixer is part of the family and we're holding on to it?
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm more for the sort of decorative arts, you know. I'm more for the weird things like pictures and the puppet elephant currently that I'm staring at the other side of the room. No, not domestic appliances. Though I was proud when Paul mended our toaster. We thought it was broken and we put it outside to go with the rubbish, and then he went back and had another try, and it's been working for months ever since. So,
I thought you were going to say the toaster sort of shouted to you. I'm
no,
not done yet.
mending things is good, but we've been reading today about public displays of affection and whether they're a good thing or not. And perhaps people should have more public displays of. They should go out holding their toaster or their Hoover and speak about it in the street to the people.
But the truth is, the Brits love it. What's that TV show where?
The Repair Shop.
The Repair Shop. That's an absolutely classic example.
Well, we
like to make do and mend.
Yeah, I saw that this senator has actually had an offer from someone saying...
That's right.
It's just got a burnt-out cable. I'll fix it for you.
Yeah. So we're all in favour. We like the Hoover story. We like the fact that the US Senate has a 92-year-old who still goes on and on and on. Sarah says, my mother was given a banana sewing machine for her 21st birthday and she's still using it today. She's 83. Thank you for that, Sarah. That's a perfect way to end our discussion with the wonderful columnist Patrick Kidd, our Times writer, and the columnist Libby Purves. This is Ed Vaizey on Time.